Spartans! What is your profession?
I'm not their echo, I'm my own sound. My roots in the earth, my head unbound. They whisper and judge, but I'm not their clay. I mold my tomorrow, I'm done with today. I walked away from their parade. Their words like stones that ricochet. They call me lost, but I am found on this quiet road where I'm unbound. I walked away through the quiet of the storm. Their voices loud, but my soul felt warm. They point their fingers, call me the stray, but I found my freedom when I walked away, yeah.
I walked away from their parade. Their words like stones that ricochet. They call me lost, but I am found on this quiet road where I'm unbound. I walked away through the quiet of the fair. Their voices loud, but my soul felt warm. They point their fingers, call me the stray, but I found my freedom when I walked away. They try to shame the soul that strays. When you carve your path, they turn away. An outsider's heart beats loud and clear. No chains can hold what's free from fear.
Their dreams aren't mine, they never fit. A puzzle forced, it just won't click. I see the world through my own eyes, not filtered through their scripted lies.
Their dreams were cages I couldn't call home. I saw a horizon where I could roam. They don't understand what they can't contain, but my path is my own through joy and pain. They try to shame the soul that strays. When you carve your path, they turn away. An outsider's heart beats loud and clear. No chains can hold what's free from fear.
Let them whisper, let them glare. I've grown strong in this thin air. The crowd may roar, but I won't bend. My road's my own until the end. They call me the outsider for chasing my flame. Their rules and their boxes I refuse to claim. I won't be a shadow, I'll carve my own way. They can try to shame me, but I won't obey. They call me the outsider for chasing my flame. Their rules and their boxes I refuse to claim. I won't be a shadow, I'll carve my own way. They can try to shame me, but I won't obey.
They try to shame the soul that strays. When you carve your path, they turn away. An outsider's heart beats loud and clear. No chains can hold what's free from fear.
So call me the outsider if that's what I'll be. I'd rather be lost if it means I'm free. Their maps are for them, I'll chart my own sea. I walked away, now I'm finally me.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. How is everyone doing today? We are live. I am Tickletrough. We are engineered to win, or, as some people like to say, I do my very, very best to annoy you to success. We are in the building. We are going to have a remarkable show. We are streaming the right way on Arena as well, so I will be checking for those messages too. Hopefully we can get some more people up in Arena. We are on YouTube, we're on X, we are on Twitch. We are just spreading the information all over the world. Yes, we are. Today, my plan is to do our token hit, because I'm a token fiend, right? I want to work on integrating Stripe into the homeschool Hive application, and then once we get that out of the way, because I have my 5 credits, then I think I have 5 credits on that, but then we'll get into containerizing our Lovable built application. So we started that on Thursday, ran into an error, but it was the end of the show. So we're going to investigate that error, see what's going on, and we'll go from there. But great work to do. We had an amazing vibe code and chill session last night where we had some different people come up. We were sharing different ideas, what we're working on, where we're at, working on the homeschool Hive application. I'm getting back into working on that. So just a bunch of different stuff. It was an amazing session. So I would highly recommend. So it's inside the Patreon. I'm going to re-upload it to the Patreon. It's also going to be available to YouTube channel members, all of that good stuff. And you can join us for our next one. Is going to be not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday. I'm looking to do it every other week. But just having conversations, it's a Google Meetup, conversations, getting your ideas, what are you working on, getting some insight, giving you some encouragement, some motivation, all that good stuff. You have me for about 2 hours one-on-one. You can ask me anything. It's kind of like office hours, but I call it vibe code and chill. Really fun times. Really great work. All right. So, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. That's what we did last night from 6:30 to about 8:30. Great stuff. Great people joining us. A lot of good things. All right. So let me give you the rundown of what I want to do today. Right. So I want to show you, I want to start working on Stripe for the homeschool app. I want to show you really quick a way that an idea that I had. Right. So I'll get into it, but yesterday I also showed the app that I'm building for my mom for the work that she does for this organization for payroll type stuff. So, but today I was like, I was trying to do something. It didn't like Lovable kind of messed it up. So I reverted it. And then I found a very sneaky way. I want to show you that as well. Like I said, we're going to be working on containerizing the application because I want to find a way that we could easily migrate a app that's built on Lovable to any cloud provider. So such as AWS, Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft Azure. So what we did last week was we were actually able, and I'll start, actually, no, we finished it on Thursday. We finished it on Tuesday, but I was able to get our infrastructure up and running. So the next step is to actually containerize our application so that we can get the app running inside of AWS ECS environment. A lot of things to do, but it is all the goal is to be able to move these applications anywhere that we want. See what's going to be hard, but get that template underway. So today, the next step is containerizing it. We ran into an error on Tuesday night. We're going to investigate that error. We're going to try to fix it. We're going to try to get our Docker image built and get our container running. That's the goal. That's the main goal for today. All right. Also have some great conversations or some great topics we're going to jump into during the breaks. So it's going to be a full show for you today.
Let's get it.
But first, I want to take care of some housekeeping really quick. I want to say a big thank you to all of the new subscribers to the channel, and as well as those who have been with me for a very long time. Whether you are following on Twitch, on X, on Arena, on YouTube, wherever you are tuning in from, whether you have been here for a very long time or you are brand new, I just want to let you know that I truly appreciate you from the bottom of my heart.
I appreciate you.
And I have to give a big shout out to the Tech Code Trial Patreon members, my tech barbarians, my tech project members. I work with them one-on-one. We are always working, always strategizing, building applications to learn, to practice, do interview prep, all of that good stuff. Those that I work with one-on-one. Shout out to the Tech Barbarians and shout out to the Technical Explorers. Those are the Patreon members who join me for our Vibe Code and Chills, giving them ideas, giving them insights, building out prototypes, all of that good stuff so that we can push forward and we can continue to run it up because we are the best.
We the best.
And always shout out to my tech mercenaries out there. Those are the YouTube channel members who allow me to show up day in and day out. Thank you so much for allowing me to get this information across the entire world. We are translating about 10 to 15 different languages. So I get reached out from people all over the world saying, thank you for the content that you're making. You're giving me new insight, giving me new assistance. So that is all due to my tech mercenaries out there. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
All right, quick announcements. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be going live. We're going to be continuing working on our N8N workflow. We got it to work last week. We're going to be adding in an additional piece to it. I'm going to try to see, all right, if you have this documentation here, like a PDF file, read the PDF, add it to the documentation that you're building so that we can get some comprehensive documentation in an easy to understand way. We're going to be continuing with our N8N workflow. I'm thinking about maybe the following week getting back to the course that we're going through, because that course is really, really important. And without going through that course, we wouldn't have all the knowledge and understanding that we have today for like our tokens and how to build these applications. That course set us up for success to all the things we've been able to do over the past few months, but we're not finished with it yet. And I like to get things done to completion. So we're going to be getting back into that course, trying to chug along on it and see how we can do it, right? And then we do have tomorrow Candid Conversations. We're going to be talking about at noon Eastern time. I have a question for you. Two questions really, but the first question that I'm going to be asking you tomorrow at noon is, do you brag about yourself? Do you brag about yourself? Do you have the ability to brag about yourself? If not, why not? And if so, what are you bragging about? So join me tomorrow at noon, Candid Conversations. You should be bragging about yourself, but what are you bragging about? So join me. And then of course, Tuesday night, tech Q&A, answering your questions. The call lines will be open, all of that good stuff. So looking forward to seeing you between tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, and on Tuesday night. And that's it. That is it. So before we go any further, I just wanted to say thank you to our sponsor of the show today, Resume Flow at resumeflow.app. If you are having a hard time getting your resume seen, getting interviews, go to resumeflow.app. Upload your resume, get some feedback, see how the ATS, the applicant tracking system, is seeing your resume, because somebody who tried Resume Flow, they uploaded their resume. They had a really, really cool, customized, flashy resume, right? They paid a lot of money for it. And then they uploaded it, and the parser for the PDF, it was a bunch of gibberish that I was reading. So when you look at the resume, like let's say you email the resume to me and I say, oh yeah, that looks like a great resume. But if you're going through the applicant tracking system and you upload that resume, it was a bunch of gibberish, causing them to potentially miss out on a lot of interview opportunities. So I said, and they asked me like, hey, I don't understand what's going on. I'm not like, my score is very low. And I said, well, let me take a look at your resume. It looked fine. So talking to the people at Resume Flow, I'm like, all right, what's going on? So they added a feature to say, all right, let me see how the resume is coming in. And it was a hot mess. So, went back to the person like, hey, this is how your resume is looking. And here's the features that they implemented so you can see how the resume looks. And it's like, oh wow, this was gonna be a bad situation for me. Went and updated it, uploaded it again, and it looked absolutely phenomenal. Also has the feature to put a job description as well as a job URL that you're interested in. It'll tell you how well you match up to the job, and then track your whole application process for whatever companies you apply for. So check it out. Have it help you apply smarter today. ResumeFlow.app. Thank you so much for sponsoring this show. If you haven't done so already, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know every time we go live and drop new content. Sign up for techcoach.dev. Join me for our next Vibe Code and Chill session. And we have a sprint review coming up next week, Sunday, or yes, today's Sunday, but next Sunday we have a sprint review coming up. I will be uploading that as well. The one from last week is already in the Patreon, techcoach.dev. Vibe Code and Chill session yesterday. It's available in the Patreon as well. We are doing so much so fast, and I'm always looking to add more and more value into your life. That is my plan. That is my goal. All right, let me check the chat really quick, and then we are going to get to work. We're going to get into. I'm going to start off with showing you the little trick that I did on my mom's application, and then we're going to get into adding these the Stripe stuff. But yeah, so let me check the chat really quick. So on the YouTube side of the game, we have Daji says hi, hello to you as well. How are you doing today? It says where to start from. Where to start from in what sense? Can you add me give me a little bit more detail? What is it that you're trying to start, and then I can answer the question of where to start from. But I need to know what you're trying to start. So let me know, and I will definitely answer your question. On the Twitch side of the game, I love getting messages from Twitch. Shout out to Twitch. We got Bamba Stala says yes. Well, hello to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to you. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
And let me see if I have any messages or anything happening on Arena side of the game. On Arena, nothing happening on Arena yet. Okay, cool. So perfect. With that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into our first segment of work. And if Daji gives me some more context, I will definitely give my insight on that. But let's get to work. So I'm going to start off with my mom's application, right? So let me go and pull this up. So let's start off with here. I'm not 100% sure in what you're referring to, but I will say how to get started. So your question was how to get started with the project file management thing. I will say this. Whatever it is that anyone is working on and you need to know how to get started, I would say list out how you currently work with whatever it is. So with this project file management, how do you normally work with it, right? You list it out, say, okay, I do this, and this. Then you list out the complications that you have. These are the issues that I have, right? And then you say, this is how I'd want it to work. And you identify how it currently works, what are the issues, and then how you actually want it to work. Once you do that, then you can start building out a system, a platform, whether you're using a vibe coded platform like Lovable, whether you have the knowledge to build it all from scratch. But you need to identify how you currently work, what's the problem, and what is the type of solution that you want. So and if you're going to be using Lovable to build it out, I would say get your prompt generated. I normally use Manus to generate my prompts, but you can use Google Gemini. You can use ChatGPT. You can use Claude, whatever it is. Get your prompt generated. Throw it in there. Have it create you a prototype, and then you start plugging it in. And as you iterate, you see, okay, this is how this works. Let's plug this in. Let's plug that in, and you just get it to work. So that is how I normally get started with anything that I want to get started with. I identify how I currently do it, what's the issues that I have with it, what's slowing me down, what are my major pain points, and what would be an easier way for it to work. Or sometimes I even ask the platforms like Manus, what is the easier way that I can get this to work? And it gives me some great ideas, and I just start implementing, and I just start iterating on it over and over and over as I see it working. That is my personal go-to. But that's how I'd answer that. We have Alu Arjun in the building and says, I recently got an internship in DevOps, but they say to do my task my way, like finding anything to learn. So I stumbled upon some repos to make Docker file and compose file for it. But when starting, and we get to the next chat, it says, when starting, I don't know which dependencies or libraries to add in the Docker file on my own. I have to ChatGPT everything. Any suggestions to do it my way? I would say that I would say if it's an internship and you don't have much background in creating Docker files, things like that, I don't think you're doing it wrong using ChatGPT. But if you just the biggest problem that people have when they're using these large language models, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, if they're using Lovable, is that they just copy and paste and they move on. But you should know exactly what and why you're actually doing something. And once you actually understand the why, start making modifications. Okay, so let's say they tell you, okay, these are the dependencies. Now that you understand the why, then you want to check for, okay, what are the other dependencies that I could use? So let's say ChatGPT gets you started, or then you can say, okay, now that I understand this concept, let me go ahead and look for more dependencies. Right, so you really need to have a idea of where you're headed, so then you can start getting your game plan and going that way. So when you just have like, and this is what I was saying earlier, when you just rely on these large language models, they will make mistakes, right? And you won't be able to catch the mistakes. So that's why my recommendation for you is every time you get a actual some type of code or response or answer, look for the why. Ask ChatGPT to explain to you why it, like, what does this code actually mean? What does this dependency actually do? And go from there, right? So that's how I normally approach it. Let's see. I'm new to the team and I was wondering if you could provide the Git repository link for the project. I also had questions about deployment. Are we using Kubernetes and Docker for this application, or is there another preferred method, for example, container orchestration platform? Which GitHub repository are you referring to? That's the first question. But like what I'm working on now, I'm gonna be using Docker. So the goal is to create the Docker file. I already have the infrastructure set up for AWS to do Elastic Container Service. I actually should start it up, but the goal is to get I don't need to start it up, because the goal is to get the container built on Docker and then start it up locally. And once we can start it up locally, then to get it in ECS. But that is just like the whole project is to get a Lovable built app running on AWS. The first step was to set up the infrastructure. That is done. Now we're going to be working on getting the Lovable app, at least the front end, containerized. Then we're gonna have to go into how to get the Supabase stuff migrated. So that's gonna be database stuff, function stuff, migrated onto AWS. A lot of stuff to do, but once we get that done, we have a good running template for success in the future. Let me see. Alu Arjun says, also, do you have any suggestions for learning path? Because I do have AWS Certificate Solutions Architecture Associate Certificate. So first of all, congratulations on that. That is awesome. The learning path that I would suggest is, and it should be in the description of this video, but let me confirm. But the learning path that I would suggest, what I'm doing is I'm taking a DevOps course, and like we've been going back and forth on it, like on Sundays. But it's like I will do some work on the DevOps course, and I'll find a project to work on, and then we go back to the DevOps course. But in the DevOps course, it takes you through working on Docker, like creating Docker files on Kubernetes using Google Cloud Platform. At some point, it's going to take you into AWS, and to Microsoft Azure. It takes you to Terraform. So let me see if I have it, and I'll drop it in the chat as well. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see, is it in here? It is not in here, surprisingly. Oh no, it isn't there. Yeah, learn DevOps. It's right there. It's in the description. Let me see if I can drop it into the chat. But so that's the course that I'm taking. And it's helped me so much understanding better. Like without that course, I would not have understood Kubernetes. And I got a lot better with Docker using this course. I've been using Docker for almost 10 years now, but this course really helped me understand so much more about Docker. And there's still more to learn, right? But that is the course. Get it on Udemy. Get it when it's on sale. That's my recommendation. Get it when it's on sale. And you can probably get it for like $15 to $25 when it's on sale. And go from there. go through the course, actually practice, and then as you're learning these stuff, I would say, and I was on a coaching call yesterday, and I said, you want to actually, like, the person I was coaching going through like a Linux course, and I said, all right, they're giving you a lot of contextual information. I would say after you get through this part of the course, you want to go to like a ChatGPT, a Gemini, and say, all right, I am learning. I am taking a course. I learned a list of these things. Can you give me a project idea to actually put these things into place? I would say the same thing. Put that into place as well. Like, come up with some type of project, build something. Maybe get some, I don't know, build something on Lovable or something, and figure out how you can implement what you built on Lovable into a DevOps thing so that you can have personalized understanding of what exactly it is that you are doing. All right. Let me check on the Arena side. Oh, we got on the Arena side, which I am not able to show on the screen, but we have Rolex 9000 in the building. Says, love you, sir. Thank you so much, Rolex 9000 over on the Arena side of the game. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the comment. Thank you for the tip. Appreciate you. I appreciate you. All right, let's go. All right, so what we're going to do now, we are going to actually get into our token hit for the day. We are going to be, so because you guys know that I am a token fiend. We're going to be working on the homeschool application. Let me see. Let me go pull it up, and I'm going to throw up 20 minutes.
It's time to do.
We actually have only 2 credits left because I was using some of those credits last night on our Vibe Code and Chill session, which is we do every other Saturday inside the Techo Trial Patreon on a Google Meetup. But with that being said, let's go to, so I discovered yesterday, although the app works phenomenally, I discovered that we did not have sign up working well for it, right? Oh, my goodness. So what I want to do is the Stripe integration, like working on these applications, you learn so many new things. And I learned so much about Stripe. And here's the kicker, right? You can tell Lovable to set up Stripe, right? And here's your Stripe secret. But if you do not have Stripe properly set up, it will totally mess up your application, and users will not be able to sign up properly, and it's going to be a nightmare, especially if it's like a monthly subscription based thing, customers trying to upgrade and downgrade, all that crazy stuff. It is going to be a mess, right? So what we are going to do is all right, so let me see if I can pull up this site. All right, so I'm going to pull this up, right? The issue that I discovered yesterday is when you're trying to, actually this, shoot, I didn't want to do that. Hold on. Let's go with, so part of the issue is when I am signed in and I want to, so we fixed yesterday the fact that you cannot upgrade after you, because before, like yesterday, it was all messed up, letting me upgrade when it shouldn't, or letting me add more children when I did not have that in my plan. But now when I click on upgrade plan and I go to change this plan, it is going to take me to Stripe, which I don't, well, that wasn't supposed to happen. That was different. But let me try it out. I wasn't expecting that to happen, right? Because yesterday it was taking me to a managed subscription type thing. But let me go to, let's go to 30. And my Stripe is in the sandbox environment that it's using, right? But I'm curious to see what it's going to say. Do that. So what I learned as well is that if you don't properly have your products linked, you can end up, so here, let's go here, right? Now, see how here it still says that I am on the starter plan, and I refresh just to make sure, right? It's not upgrading my plan, but if I go to manage subscription, it takes me to Stripe. And now I have two plans because my products at Stripe are not properly being managed, right? So that is not the right way for it to work. So, and that's because I don't have proper product linking. And if we take a look over here, you see how this product ID here in the product catalog, we have these different products, right? So what we need to do, we need to tell Lovable that I need to set up product. I need to set up the products. Let me go and log into the an admin account. Like, but on this channel, you literally saw us to you literally saw us go from Stripe price ID. So you see this here, right? But these price IDs, I don't believe they exist at actual Stripe. So if I copy this, right? So we need to actually get the right price IDs from Stripe. So if I copy this price ID, right? So they existed, but, and that's for the starter. If I click on this, see, so this is the actual price ID that we need. So if I copy this now, and I go to here, oops, not here. I go to here and I paste that, update, and I go to, and this is in order not to mess with, I wonder, let me see something real quick. Exit sandbox. Oh, okay, no, stay in sandbox then. And then I go to basic and I copy this price. I'm not sure where exactly it got these original price IDs. So if I go here and I go to basic and I paste that in there, and I go to family, and I go to, because what was happening before is Lovable was configuring Stripe, but then when it gets to like the upgrade and the downgrading, it's not going to be able to manage that properly because it's not configured inside of Lovable, right? So update tier, and then the last one, the large family plan. If we go here, copy that, and now we go to here, right? So now we have all this properly configured. If we then go to so let's say we were to log out, sign back in with this user, sign in, we go to here, so what if now I go to upgrade plan and I say change to this one, and let's say now I do and we go here, start trial. Now let's see what happens. Let's see if it upgrades the account from, I don't even know if that's going to work, because So let me see. Now, let me see. See, it's still not upgrading. Manage subscriptions. Let me see what else we have. It keeps adding a new one. And I think it's because that starter plan. So if I go back to here and I refresh and I say upgrade plan again, it keeps, all right. So I'm going to tell Lovable that when I go to upgrade my account or upgrade an account in the profile section, it is saying that when I go to upgrade, it's saying that, or it's not saying anything. Well, I am able to upgrade the account on the Stripe side, but the account stays the same in the profile. On Stripe, I now have 3 different accounts for the application. The plan is not upgrading, but just adding a new one. We should have it to upgrade / downgrade the plans accordingly. And I'm going to just take a screenshot of my managed subscription at Stripe, because if we have this, that's going to be really, really bad for our customers, and it's going to be a really bad customer experience all around, right? So let's go here, paste that, send that. And the thing is, like, it is so important. Like, the only thing that vibe coding actually does for you is generate some code, right? But it is important to understand business logic as well. Understand integration for OAuth, understand integration for Stripe and for other payment processors. All of that stuff matters. So if you think you're just, I'm just gonna like vibe code a whole application from start to end, it's not that easy. It doesn't work that simply, right? There's so much extra work in there that happens. All right, so it says I can see from the screenshot that you have multiple subscriptions in Stripe instead of upgrading to the existing one. This is happening because the create checkout function is creating new subscriptions instead of managing existing ones. Let me fix this by updating the checkout process to handle plan changes properly. Okay, that's what we want. Something I like to do as well, I like to look at the code that's being written too. And I like to see the changes that were made. So it says, I've made the following key changes to fix the subscriptions upgrade issue. Updated create checkout functions now checks if customer already has active subscriptions and redirects them to Stripe customer portal. See, I don't want it to redirect me to the Stripe customer portal though. Improve subscription management. When users have existing subscriptions, they'll be taken to Stripe customer portal where they can upgrade and downgrade plans properly. See, that's not what I want though. Enhance UI feedback, better navigation flow, change from opening new tabs to same window navigation for smoother user experience. When the user tries to upgrade their plans, they'll be taken to, all right, so let's see what happens, right? I am going to refresh this page, or not this page. Let's go to our profile. But it's also a process though, because as you go through this, you're gonna say, okay, I don't like how this is particularly working, but open up a new tab. But I'm getting closer to what I really want to happen. All right, so let's say we do refresh that one more time. When I go here, I say upgrade plan here. and we do again. But this is why like testing this stuff is so important. And that's why it's like you can't just throw something out there and then now you're charging a bunch of customers. You got to manage refunds and stuff like that. It's gonna be a mess. See, same thing. It did do the upgrade, but let me see manage subscriptions and so let's see now if it takes me to Stripe. Oh, but it's still doing the same thing though. When I say upgrade, it takes me I don't know. It didn't add a new one, but it didn't sync. So I'm gonna say that I am going to say the way that after going through that flow in my so let me check something real quick. If I go to here, starter plan, but we upgraded to the basic plan. So if I go here and I go to console, this is telling us that the Stripe price ID is this. It is, see, it's not getting the, probably because it has like multiple plans, I guess. Manual assignment. Why does it say manual? It's not a manual assignment. Let's go. It's saying starter plan. All right, so I'm gonna specify the user that I'm using. After going through the upgrade flow for this user, for this test user, on maybe I should create a new one on maybe that's what I'll do later. Create a new one, but on Stripe it has 3 different plans. But it does have the basic plan. In the profile, it says they are still on starter. The way that this should work is if a user clicks on upgrade plan button in their profile, they should be taken to the pricing page as it currently does when they click on the plan to upgrade to. It should ask them for a confirmation that they want to upgrade their plan as their payment information is already stored at Stripe. For their subscription. Let's see what this says. I think that's going to wrap it up for this, for our token hit. All right. The current flow creates new subscriptions instead of upgrading existing ones. We need to modify the flow so that when the user clicks on upgrade plan, they go to the pricing page, and when they select a new plan, it should upgrade their existing subscription rather than creating a new one. Let me implement this by updating the subscription manager to have an upgrade plan flow. Modify the pricing page to handle plan changes for existing subscribers. Create a confirmation dialog for plan upgrades. Updating the create checkout function to handle subscription upgrades. And we'll probably need it to show what's going to be the price differential. Would it do that? Yes, it would. All right, let's see. All right. Okay, so now when the user clicks upgrade plan in their profile, they'll be taken to the pricing page with upgrade context. When they select a new plan, they'll see a confirmation dialog showing the current plan and new plan details. Upon confirmation, their existing Stripe subscription will be downgraded instead of creating a new one, and they'll be redirected back to their profile with success measure. All right, so let's try it really quick, and then we're going to wrap it up for today on this. Then we'll actually get into the meat of the show. Let's say upgrade plan. What?
Lunch break. Lunch break.
Oh, what a way to end it. Let me see. What happened? Do we have a... No. Let me refresh again. Wait, that page doesn't exist. Refresh. What happened? All right, let me put the inspection. Upgrade plan. Console. Can't read. Strange. Remember that page existing. Let's see. Code. Plan. Upgrade dialog. So we'll throw this one in there. So when I click the upgrade button in the profile, I am now getting a blank page with this error message in the console. The page URL it's trying to access is here. All right, so let's paste that and let's see the results of that. And once we get that, let's see what the results are, why this is happening, and then we'll wrap our token hit session up and we'll get to the chat, first break time topic, and then to work. Looking at the error, it seems like cannot read reading name. When navigating to the subscription page, this suggests some data is null when the component tries to access name property. Let's see. The issue is likely upgrade flow where trying to access properties user pricing info or select tier where they might be null. Okay, so it's making some changes. I fixed the null reference error by adding proper checks throughout the component. The main issues were added null checks for user pricing info and handle select plan. All right, so let's go and refresh this page. And hopefully this works. Let's go to upgrade plan. Doesn't seem to have worked. Okay, now it worked. Okay, so let me go back one more time. Here. Upgrade plan. Okay, there we go. And if we do change to this plan, still takes us to Stripe. Anyways, whatever. We'll continue with that. I will continue looking into that, but it's a little shaky. It's a little shaky, but this is what I mean though. It it is so like you learn so much more. It's so much more than just code. You learn so much more. So you got to put everything together. You get experience and exposure to databases, to OAuth, with like Google authentication, LinkedIn authentication, Facebook authentication. You get exposure to payment information, setting up businesses, setting up the portal, so much different stuff. All right, but let me check the chat really quick, see what we got going on over there on the YouTube side of the game. Alu Arjan says, I see many jobs in Amazon, like in cloud solutions architecture. So how can I get into it? I know at this point I am not capable on landing that job, but how to actually get that job, any path for that. So I would say that this is my strategy, right? The job that you want, work backwards. So look at what skills you currently have. Go and take that job description and see what are all the key things that they're asking for, and that's what you start to study. So if they're asking for working with Rabbit servers, I think they call them Amazon MQ. Learn about that. If they're asking for working on Route 53, learn about Route 53. All of the different things that they're asking for, you learn about that, and another thing, a strategy that I would use is I would copy that job description and I would paste it into one of the large language models, and I would say, I am interested in getting this job. What are some projects that can help me ramp up and give me some experience working on the different technologies that they're asking for? And so now you go build different projects, different tools, different applications. Maybe you can volunteer. Like, let's say somebody's building an app, right? You can volunteer to set up their infrastructure on AWS so that you can start getting exposure and experience to that, right? Working with other people so that you can actually put what you're learning into practice. So many people, what they'll do is they'll get an internship to get a job, and that's all they worry about. No, you need, like, the job that you want, you have to go out there and get it. So you want to volunteer, find people who need some work done, and say, oh, let me do this for you so that you can gain experience. You need to find how to build these products on your own. So now when you land into these interviews, you have talking points. You can show why you are the right person for the job. Let me see. Daji is talking to and shout out to all the people over in India and Mumbai, all over the world. Shout out to you guys. I'm from Mumbai and had the same questions. Also really hard to get the roadmap, as there is no end or edge to this topic. Thanks to Coach Ralph for it. You are very, very welcome. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know it must be late for you guys over there, so thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you all.
I appreciate you.
I tell you guys, we are across the entire globe, across, like, on the other side of the world, adding value. So let's go out there. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Let me see. Let's see. All right, cool. Let me check over on the Arena side of the game. And on Arena, we have Sabir Sheik says, hi tech. Hi to you as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Truly appreciate you. Thank you for following me as well. All right, so we're gonna jump into our first break time topic of the day, and this one is gonna be good. This is brought to us by TechCrunch. It is about the Coinbase CEO saying that he fired engineers who rejected AI. Let's jump into it really quick. And I'm going to throw up 5 minutes on this one. So Coinbase CEO explains why he fired engineers who didn't try AI immediately. Right? Written by Julie Bort on August 22nd, 2025. And this is an article that is brought to us by TechCrunch, one of my favorite websites for tech news. So it says, it's hard to find programmers these days who aren't using AI coding assistants in some capacity, especially to write the repetitive, mundane bits. But those who refused to try the tools when Coinbase brought enterprise licenses for GitHub Copilot and Cursor got promptly fired, CEO Brian Armstrong said this week on John Collison's podcast, Cheeky Pints. Collison is also the co-founder and president of the payments company Stripe. Oh, look at that. We're just working on Stripe, believe it or not. It says, after getting licenses to cover every engineer, some at the cryptocurrency exchange warned Armstrong that adoption would be slow, predicting it would take months to get even half the engineers using AI. If your company's going to be spending money on these tools, you need to go out there and try them, right? You need to go out there and try them. Armstrong was shocked. He said he was shocked at the thought. My God, I went rogue, he said, and I posted a mandate in the company's main engineering Slack channel. I said, AI is important. We need you to all learn it and at least onboard. You don't have to use it every day yet until we do some training, but at least on board by the end of the week. And if not, I'm hosting a meeting on Saturday. On Saturday, you know, when it's a Saturday meeting, you know they mean business, right? I'm hosting a meeting on Saturday with everybody who hasn't done it, and I'd like to meet with you to understand why. Why did you not onboard with AI, with the enterprise version of GitHub Copilot for every single engineer at the company? At the meeting, some people had reasonable explanations for not getting their AI assistant accounts set up during the week, like being on vacation. That makes sense. That one makes sense. That one makes sense. Says, I jumped on the call on Saturday, and there were a couple of people that had not done it. Some of them had a good reason because they were just getting back from some trip or something, and some of them didn't have a good reason, and they got fired.
Bruh. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Now, here's my question to you. Do you think that they should have gotten fired because the CEO said, hey, by Friday, I want you to be done onboarding with our enterprise version that we are paying for GitHub Copilot, and the ones who are on vacation, fine, but the ones who said, I ain't doing it, who gonna check me, boo? The CEO says, I'll do it. So Armstrong admits that it was a heavy-handed approach, and there were people in the company who didn't like it. Well, you know what, Mr. Coinbase CEO?
It doesn't matter what you think.
And that's probably what you should have told him. Like, look, as a CEO, I asked you to get something done by Friday, and you straight up ignored me.
How dare you?
Right? So, what are the consequences? It says, while it doesn't sound like very many people were fired, Armstrong said it sent a clear message that AI is not, I repeat, it is not optional. At the company that I work for, we just had a huge meeting on how they're looking to actually incorporate how are you developing yourself with AI into like the reviews and stuff like that, the yearly, the bi-yearly, biannually reviews, whatever the word is, right? But so twice a year you get a review, and they're looking to see, okay, how are you incorporating AI into your learning activities, into your growth? So I know a lot of people, they feel some type of way about AI. It is here to stay. It is here to stay. So I highly encourage you, get on the AI train today. All right. It says, still, everything about the story is wild. That there were engineers who
back to work, chop, let's go. Come on, get a move on. Back to work.
Still, everything about the story is wild. That there were engineers who wouldn't spend a few minutes of their week signing up for and testing the AI assistant, the most hyped tech for coders ever, and that Armstrong was willing to fire them over it. Coinbase did not respond to a request for comment. Since then, Armstrong has leaned further into the training. He said that the company hosts monthly meetings where teams who have mastered creative ways to use AI share what they have learned. That is a great idea. That is a great idea. I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna steal that to see what other people are using AI for. Because interestingly, Collison, who has been programming since childhood, question how much companies should be relying on AI generated code. It's clear that it is very helpful to have AI helping you write code. It's not clear how you run an AI coded code base. Agreed. And me using Lovable for the past few months, I have learned that. I learned very, very quickly that you cannot rely on AI for every single thing of code. Like, you really, really need to, like, you need to be in the trenches with AI.
Let's get it.
You can't just rely on it by itself, right? He says, he commented, Armstrong replied, I agree. Indeed, as TechCrunch previously reported, a former OpenAI engineer described that company's central code repository as a bit of a dumping ground. The engineer said management had begun dedicating engineering resources to improve the situation. All right, so that is the article about how the Coinbase CEO fired engineers who refused to set up their GitHub Copilot Enterprise Edition that they are paying a lot, I repeat, a lot of money for. And honestly, the engineers, they straight up ignored the CEO. They straight up ignored the CEO. Says, I ain't doing that. I ain't, like, AI is not for me. You will not get me. Like, they asked the CEO. They said to the CEO, you know what?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. Number one, how dare you?
And so they said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And the CEO said, you know what? You think you ain't the boss of me. You ain't the boss of me. So guess what? I respond to you.
How dare you?
And
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
And that is the story of what happened at Coinbase. All right. All you have to do is take a few minutes to sign up for GitHub Enterprise that the company is paying a lot of money for, and you refuse to. And they said, you know what? Enough is enough. You're gonna put some respect on my name as the Coinbase CEO. You ain't gonna be treating me like Willie Lump Lump. All right. Anyways, check the chat, and we're going to get to work on containerizing our application. So we got Pluperfective in the building. What's good? What's happening, Pluperfective? Hopefully everything is going absolutely phenomenal with you. And Pluperfective says, relying 100% on AI means zero critical thinking skills. To be honest, same as people that can't do 48 plus 17 right away because using a calculator or able to write an essay. Agreed with you 1000%. That's why, like, you need to be able to work with it. You cannot rely on it 100% because it hallucinates as well. But if you can actually learn a particular skill set like DevOps, web development, software development, software engineering, whatever, AI will be a good complement to you, and it will not be a crutch. Many people use it as a crutch, and that is absolutely a problem. All right. Pluperfective says, if I was the engineer, I wouldn't have an ego. I'd get my bag and yap about random AI slop once a month. That's another strategy. Why did I trigger you? This week, Pluperfective? Let me know. How did I trigger you? What did I do? What could little old me do to trigger you? Right? Let me know. All right, we are going to get into, let me see, anything. Let me check this side of things real quick. Let me see. Pluperfect says, I think companies are trying to use AI as a crutch. As a what? As a what? he meant as a crutch, right? But um, I I think some companies, like, because I know a friend who is telling me that their company is trying to force AI into stuff that AI doesn't need to be in by any means necessary. But then there's some other companies that they use AI for valid, like they're like integrating AI into the services that they provide, but also integrating AI into the like helping with code and stuff like that. Look, I'm gonna tell you this. I have used and very basic things. Like I've used Gemini to generate a Python function for me that I could have figured out in like 3 to 4 hours. It gave it to me in like 5 minutes, and then I put it in there and I made modifications for it. I could read it. I knew exactly what it was doing. It worked. So I'm like, look, if I can speed up my development by actually knowing what I'm doing and integrate it within a code base, then I am all for it, because at the end of the day, my goal is to be more productive and not have the ego of I did it myself. Well, if something can do it, like I always give the example, right? Of all right, so if you can take a large boat, not a cruise, but like the old boats were like a Titanic type boat taking you from one spot to another, or you can just fly. So a boat takes you 2 weeks, you can fly within like 8 hours. Be more productive and fly, right? So I look at it as riding a horse to go somewhere, or jumping in a Ford Mustang and going somewhere. Technology changes. So like by us being all high and mighty, oh AI, work with it. My idea is you work with it instead of being against it. Integrate it within your workflow. Pluperfective says that you triggered me with your half slop GRC video. Hey, you weren't around to help me answer. You were not around to help me answer the question, so that's why it was a half. I don't honestly like that video was so old. I don't remember what I said in it, and I wasn't gonna watch it back. But I saw your comment, and I saw somebody agree with your. I think Jason agreed with your comment, and I was like, awesome. It says company I'm at, for example, management don't know anything about, and they want it everywhere, and customers are giving negative feedback. But the thing is, if you don't try, especially when it's a really, really big company and you try with it and you get the negative feedback, then you can see, okay, what are the customers complaining about and how can we fix that to integrate with it? A lot of times they're not going to know until they try it. So for me, I'm always willing to try something new, and based on the results, that's how like, you need to get out of the mindset of not doing anything because we don't know. You have to try. Maybe you do some A/B testing, but you have to try and put something out there. And if you get positive feedback, you build off that. If you get negative feedback, you adjust as necessary. So you can't have that mindset of, oh, because we don't know and because we're scared to try something new, we are not going to do anything. Imagine paying $15K per month to get AI slop response. I don't blame customers. Look, like a lot of times with these customers, they are so locked into the ecosystem that it's hard for them to change. And sometimes you're gonna have to put up with a little bit of mess in order to get something better in the future. So it's a balance. It is a balancing act, all right? But we're gonna jump into containerizing this application. Let me go to Manus real quick. And I'm going to throw up 20. Let me pull it up. First, I'm going to throw up 20 minutes on the clock. Let's go to this one and throw up 20 minutes.
Let's go! Let's go!
We are at, so where are we at on this? We are at view all files, and we're at the containerization section. Let's see, container. So basically we started containerizing on Tuesday. And what is containerization? So basically you are getting your application into a Docker image so that you can put your application anywhere. It could be on AWS, it could be on Google Cloud Platform, it could be on Microsoft Azure, it could be on, what is that other one? It could be on deployed to DigitalOcean, like I did for our N8N installation. so many different ways. Like, so, but the goal is to containerize it, and then that same container should work the same way anywhere you deploy it to. All right. So we started last time. Let me go ahead and open up the application. I think it's going to be in metrics infrastructure. Let me see. Where is that thing? Or is it this one? Okay, so let's go over to this screen. And so we have our Docker file, we have our Docker ignore file, we have our nginx file. We will try to Docker file. Let's try to build the container again. All right, so looking at our looking for the Docker command. Let's see, Gemini. Let me see, Docker build. Okay, so looking at over here, we tried to build our, so we're going to use the Docker build command so that we can get the error again that we got last time. So let's go and say Docker build -f Docker file dot. We don't have Docker running, so let me get Docker running. And let's build it. So it's building the Docker image. Let's see what's the error that we actually get now. All right, so the error that we got was module not found. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this error into Gemini and see what is causing this error to happen, and then we'll do the necessary adjustments to fix it and go from there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to go over into Gemini and I'm going to say a new chat. And I'm going to tell it I was trying to build a Docker image for a Lovable built application. I got an error when it got to the, what step was that? It was on the run npm build step. This is the error below that I got. And then I'm going to say this is the content of my Docker file. So with these very specific tasks, I like to use Gemini for it, or ChatGPT if you're into that, right? But I like to use Gemini for it because it's very specific and it can give me, because like Manus is going to do a bunch of research, and I have like limited credits on that. So I like to use Gemini for that part, for this part. And if I was using VS Code, I could probably just plug right into it. The maybe not necessarily Copilot, but maybe Kilo or something like that. All right, so it's a common issue when containerizing Node.js applications. The error cannot find module at rollup happens because the necessary build tools, which are listed as dev dependencies in your package, aren't being installed in your Docker build process. The specific problem is the line in your builder run npm ci only production silent no audit. The only production and this is the thing, right? This is there's learning tech is so vast that you just can't learn everything about Docker. You can't learn everything about npm. You can't learn everything about Kubernetes. You can't learn but now as I'm following these guides and then I get these errors for like actually building real life production type stuff, I'm like, oh, I didn't know about this, and I'm actually reading through the explanation. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting, and I can go that way. It says the only equals production flag tells npm to skip installing dev dependencies. Since Vite and rollup are required to build your application, the run npm build step fails because they can't find them. To fix this, you need to remove this flag to ensure all dependencies required for the build are installed. I'll update your Docker file for you. I've updated the npm ci command in the Docker file. This should resolve the error and allow your Docker file image to build successfully. So, if I take a look at the npm step, so they just removed the only, all right, so that's all we have to do on ours, right? So let's go back over here and we look for our npm step over here. If we remove this and we try to build again, let's see if it gets through that step. Oh, it went through. It went through. Now we have to figure out how to start our Docker. So let's go back to Manus. Or am I going over here? Let me see. Let me go to all right, so now if we have this built, if we say copy this line right here and bring it over here, I probably need to do, because I already have something running on port 8080 already. Let's do 8081. So what is, all right, so Docker PS or Docker images. What is the one that we just built called? Maybe I didn't give it a name. I gotta delete some of my Docker images. Right, this Docker image, Docker clear, Docker images. So yeah, I gotta delete some of these Docker images. Let me see. What is the one that we just installed? It is called none. Should have gave it a name. We should have gave it a name. All right, so I'm just gonna do. So let's say we do that. Oh, unable to find image. So let me build it again with a name this time. Let's build it again with a name. Tag T Lovable app latest. Let's try that. All right, so now if we try to run that again, okay. So now if we were to go into our browser and we were to go to localhost 8081 and it can't access it, but let's see if our Docker, let's see if the app is actually up and running though. Docker ps, and it is not up and running. The question is why. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to run this command again. This time without it being detached, we can actually see what happens inside of the container when it tries to run it. Let me see. Docker. All right, so the error that we got was host not found in upstream backend service. Host not found in upstream. So, all right, so now that we got here, let's see what this actually means, right? And this, but this is how it forces you to. So this is how you get some more experience with prompting and stuff like that. How to use these platforms for troubleshooting, how to troubleshoot in particular, and learning more about Nginx, because I am not an Nginx expert whatsoever, right? So I will say that after getting the Docker image built, when I try to run the image or run the container, I am getting this error causing the container not to start. That error means Nginx server side in your container is configured to forward requests to a backend service named the backend service, but it can't find the service name with that. This is a fatal error for Nginx, caught why your container won't start. The location / API block in your, all right, here's how to fix it depending on your application's need. If your app is front end only, most likely, which is not. If your Lovable application is standalone front end and makes API calls directly to an external URL like Superbase, you don't need Nginx proxy block. Okay, so that's probably what it is. The simplest fix is to remove it. Edit your Nginx config file. Find and delete or comment out the entire section location API. So comment out all of this, which we can probably end up using it later in the future, but comment out all of that. Okay, rebuild your Docker image. So we'll probably have to end up doing this at some point, but for now, if we can get our Docker, if we can get the container running, that is going to be monumental. All right, so let's go ahead and comment out that block in the Nginx section. I'm not going to delete it, but I'm going to comment it out. And we're going to rebuild our image. All right, so now that is built. Let's go and try to Docker RM Lovable app Docker PS PSA, and we go to the top. Oh, my Lovable app. Fair enough. Docker RM. And if we build it, or not build it, but if we run it again, let's see. You see something? Docker PS. We got the error. See something? Docker PS-A. Okay, so this is all together. Okay, cool. So I am going to say that, let's try to run it again so I can get the error message again. So I'm going to copy this error now. Go back into Gemini. After removing the Nginx backend service call, I am getting this error message now when starting the container. But I'm just going from like one spot to the other, get explanation, and implement those recommendations. It's just troubleshooting at the end of the day, right? And just progressing until you actually get it to work and understanding why it worked and why it didn't work. The permission denied is a result of security hardening your Docker file. It's a good prompt to have because it shows your security is working. The error means Nginx process, which correctly is running as a non-root user, does not have permission to create its process ID in the protected run var directory. Solution: open your Nginx, change it from here to here. All right, let's look for that. Nginx. So we're progressing. We're progressing. Let's change it to this. I will comment that out in case we needed it for some reason in the future. Rebuild the Docker image. But it is just a continuous loop, a continuous cycle. Let me clear that out, and we'll say Docker. Oops. Docker. Where's the one I'm looking for?
Lunch break. Lunch break.
Docker RM. My Lovable app. And let's try to run it again. Taking its time. I don't know if I'm supposed to see anything. Before we go to break, let's take a look at over here because I don't see anything happening. So I'm not entirely sure what I should be seeing. Let me refresh. Do you see that? Do you see that? Oh my God.
We the best.
We have containerized our Docker, our Lovable build application. So we built it in Lovable. We have our infrastructure set up for AWS, and we actually have it containerized, running on a local Docker container. Oh my God. Crazy. You know what? This deserves a
Freaking awesome.
You're such a nerd.
I know. This is the type of stuff that excites me, though. This is the type of stuff that actually excites me. So, let's take a look at this real quick, right? So here we can actually see that it is running on the Docker. Like, this is the Docker container that we have started up over here. So let me see if I navigate over here, if I go see if anything moves. I don't remember the login for it, but let me see if I can get anything to move, though. Let me refresh it. Ah, yes, it's working. Oh my God, that's so cool. That is so cool. I'm excited. I am excited. All right, now it's officially break time. We'll take a break, go through this article, check the chat, go through the article, and then we will progress with one more segment to see what's next on this, and see if we can get started at least. But this is absolutely amazing. Craziness. Total craziness. All right. Let me check the chat to see what we got going on in here. Let me see. Pluperfective says, take credit when AI works and blame the AI when it doesn't work. But isn't that what we do already for everything else? I don't think it's I think that is just human nature, because when LeBron James wins a championship, it is all because of LeBron James. However, when his team either doesn't make the playoffs, when they lose in the first round, when they lose the championship, then right, it is the fault of the teammates, it is the fault of the coach, it is the fault of the weather, it is the city, it is anything that you can think of, everything else. Then it is everything else's fault except for LeBron James, the alleged greatest player in the entire world. Right? So we do it for everything. So why would we not do it for AI? If you get a Tesla, right, and you don't have to fill up your car with gas, it's like, oh, sweet. But then when you get your electricity bill and it's really, really high because you're just driving all over the place, plugging in, and you don't have the right type of charger or whatever, then it is the fault of the Tesla. It is the fault of Elon. It is the fault of Elon Musk because you did not get the proper charging stuff and you didn't charge at the right time. All that good stuff, right? So we do it for everything. We do it for everything. We got Miss Freckles in the building. What's up, Miss Freckles says, did it work? It surely did. Oh my God, this is a great feeling. Let me check over on the arena side of the game. Nothing on arena. All right, cool, perfect. Nothing on arena. So we are going to get into another article during our break. And this time, we are going to be talking about a developer who landed 4 years sentence for revenge. Yes, they went out there and they got revenge on their former company. Let's jump into it. So there are 5 minutes on this one. And this one says, developer gets 4 years for activating network kill switch to avenge his firing.
Bruh.
So, disgruntled developer was caught after naming the kill switch after himself. Come on. You ever thought about being just a little bit discreet? Come on. All right. So it says let me zoom in on this a little bit. It says a disgruntled developer has been sentenced to 4 years in prison after building a kill switch that locked all users out of a U.S. firm's network the moment that his name was deleted from the company directory following his termination. All right. Although this is very, very evil and devious, right? That was genius, though. All right, you got it. You got to admit that was genius. You should not do it, but that was very smart. This is all right. On my name being deleted from the company or deactivated, whatever, from the company directory after I've been terminated, go ahead and execute order. What is it, 66 or whatever it is? Whatever the terminology is, go ahead and implement this failsafe, this kill switch. What? That's crazy. That was crazy, right? It says Davis Liu, a 55-year-old Chinese national residing in Houston, oh my goodness, was convicted of causing intentional damage to protected computers in March, the U.S. Department of Justice said in a press release announcing his sentencing on Thursday. Oh my goodness.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Liu had worked at Eden Corp for approximately 11 years when suddenly the company reduced his responsibilities during a 2018 realignment. Whenever you hear those realignments, it is going to get scary. Anticipating his termination was imminent, Liu began planting different forms of malicious code. I mean, after 11 years. All right, so this is stupid. And this is the problem where people are so attached to one company. So you spent 11 years. So now you feel like they owe you something and like, oh my God, are they going to get rid of me? So because they might terminate me, I'm going to start being malicious instead of going to resumeflow.app and uploading your resume to see, okay, how is my resume doing? Do I have the is it formatted good? Does it have good information? How does the ATS see my resume? Instead of going to resumeflow.app, this person, Liu, went and implemented some evil, devious code into their system. And the fact that he was able to do this, that means he is very, very smart and educated. So he could have been preparing to look for a new job, right? So Liu began planning different forms of malicious code. Some of the malicious code, which Liu named using a Japanese word for destruction, haiki, hopefully I'm saying it right, and the Chinese word for lethargy, Hunsu, created a infinite loop that deleted coworkers' profile files, prevented legitimate logins, and caused system crashes, the DOJ said previously. But the most damaging to Eden Corp was code that Liu named after himself. It says, is DL enabled in, so is his name David? Is Davis Liu enabled in Active Directory? Like, this is so bad, but it is so genius. That was genius, but evil, right? He's an evil genius, right? Is Davis Liu enabled in Active Directory? So when it's false, which the DOJ translated as an abbreviation for is Davis Liu enabled in Active Directory? Exactly. That kill switch was designed to lock out all users if his credentials in the company's Active Directory were disabled. Oh my goodness.
They ain't believing us.
The DOJ said Thursday, and it worked flawlessly, automatically activated when Liu was placed on leave and asked to surrender his laptop in 2019. It locked out thousands of company users globally. Oh my God, globally. And no one had a clue what was going on. Eden Corp finally
Get a move on. Back to work. Chop, chop. Let's go. Come on, get a move on. Back to work. Back to work. Back to work.
Eden Corp finally discovered the kill switch while investigating the infinite loops that were eventually traced back to a computer using Lou's user ID, a court filing said. That discovery led the company to a server which only Lou had access to, where all the other malicious code was found. Ultimately, Eden Corp bore substantial costs getting this network back online. Matthew Galeotti, acting assistant attorney general for the Justice Department's criminal division. The defendant breached his employer's trust by using his access and technical knowledge to sabotage company networks, wreaking havoc and causing hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses for a U.S. company. Developer loses fight to avoid prison time. All right, here's a question. Here's a question to you guys. Should this developer face prison time for his actions? Do you think that Davis Liu should go to prison for the substantial financial damage to his former employer, right? After his conviction, Liu moved to schedule a new trial, asking the court to delay sentencing due to allegedly surprise evidence he wasn't prepared to defend against during the initial trial. Look, I've watched enough Law and Order to say, if you slip up and introduce some new information, that will be used against you in the courts. I am a Law and Order expert. I have a TV legal degree. I grew up watching The Practice, watching Law and Order, watching a bunch of crime shows. So I could seriously litigate a TV episode. All right. So not a real court case, but if it is on TV, I know it's gonna happen. I'll call it from the beginning. I know who's gonna win. But sometimes those pesky little judges, they do mess up the show. All right. So anyways, the DOJ opposed the motion for a new trial and the delay in sentencing, arguing that Luke cannot establish that the interests of justice warrant a new trial, and insisting that evidence introduced at trial was properly disclosed. They further claimed that rebuttal evidence that Liu contested was only introduced to refute. Like I said, you see, I told you I am a TV lawyer because I knew that's what was going to happen. He introduced evidence, like the evidence introduced was to refute some claims that he had made. All right, so I knew that was. I know my legal stuff when it comes to online and on TV. All right. It says they further claim that rebuttal evidence that Liu contested was only introduced to refute Liu's perjurous testimony and did not preclude Liu from pursuing the defense he selected. See, told you. Hate to say I told you so. In the end, the judge denied. So sorry for you. In the end, the judge denied Liu's motion for a new trial, rejecting Liu's argument, siding with the DOJ in July and paving the way for this week's sentencing. Giving up the fight for a new trial, Liu had asked for an 18-month sentence, arguing that a lighter sentence was appropriate since the life Mr. Liu knew prior to his arrest is over forever. What kind? All right, is anybody? what kind of request is that? Can I get an 18-month sentence because the life that I knew prior to my arrest is over forever? What kind of argument is that?
Congratulations, you played yourself.
That makes no sense. Okay, do better. He is now a felon, a label that will be forced to wear for the rest of his life. Should have thought about that before you putting in that malicious code. His once promising career is over. As a result of his conduct, his family's finances have been devastated. Well, maybe you shouldn't have engaged in devious activity against your former company. You should have just been properly prepared. You should have went to resumeflow.app, uploaded your updated resume, get some feedback, and then start applying for jobs, having it tracked on Resume Flow, getting interview questions to prepare you for your next phase in life. But now you will be in jail for the next 4 years. All right. ResumeFlow.app is going to save you from going to jail. Get a job. All right. According to the DOJ, Lou will serve 4 years in prison and 3 years of supervised release for writing and deploying malicious code on his then employer's network. The DOJ noted that in addition to sabotaging the network, Lou also worked to cover up his crimes, possibly hoping his technical savvy would help him evade consequences. However, see, in the end, they always get caught unless they commit murders in Chicago. Then there is no chance in hell that they're going to get caught for that. All right, I'm just saying. That's just the way that's just the way it is, right? If you commit murders in Chicago, then you definitely won't get caught. But in any other circumstance, you will get caught and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. It says, however, the defendant's technical savvy and subterfuge did not save him from the consequences of his actions. Galeotti said the criminal division is committed to identifying and prosecuting those who attack U.S. companies, whether from within or without, to hold them responsible for their actions. And this article was written by Ashley Belanger. Thank you so much. But yeah, so let me know your thoughts. Do you think that it is fair that Davis Liu, Chinese national, goes to jail for 4 years, 4 years of his life taken away for sabotaging the company that he used to work for, the U.S. American company that he used to work for, because they decided to lay him off after 11 years, and he planted code that would severely affect the company, cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars. Do you think it's fair that he goes to jail for 4 years, or do you think that he should have got a reduced sentence, saying that, oh my God, the effect of like your life is totally going to be changed? Let me know your thoughts. Is this unfair? Is this prosecution unfair? Or did he receive the correct sentence? Should it have been longer? Should it have been longer? That is another question, right? Anyways, that is it for that topic. Let me check the chat, and then we will get to one last segment of work. And like I said, Davis Liu should have went to resumeflow.app, right? That's all I'm gonna say. Miss Freckles says, very unique way to get the company to remember you for life. Yep. And it costs you 4 years of your life, and you're a felon now, and your family is going to suffer. Not the best at decision making. And Miss Freckles also found that story hilarious. It is pretty funny. It is pretty funny and pretty sad. Let me check if anything on Arena. Nope, nothing on Arena today. All right, so we are going to jump into one last segment of work to see what's next. What is next? And we'll get started. We're not going to be done today, but we can get started and move forward. But we have actually containerized our application. That is so cool. All right, let's get into it. Let's get one last segment in.
It's time to do.
Let's go back to Manus, and we're gonna take a look at over here. So now we know how to we have a template that's containerize our Lovable built applications. There is nothing special to the actual application that is getting built. It's a React app. It's using Nginx. So we have the template. So we have a template. So we have our template to setting up our AWS environment to have it run on an Elastic Container Service. We have our Docker template set up. So now we can actually have our app running on AWS. So if we were to continue using Supabase, right? Let's say we don't want to do anything else. We just want to continue using Supabase. We can have a Supabase app. We can have a Supabase backend, and we can have the app built on Lovable, like the front end part of it. So as we make, so here is a current CI/CD workflow that we could have, right? We could say, all right, we build on Lovable, and after changes are made, let's say we build on a different branch, we go to merge into the main branch. We open up a pull request. If once a pull request is merged, then you go and you build out the Docker file, and you can push it up to ECR or something and have it deployed to your AWS ECS, right? To your task or your service or whatever. So that is a current workflow, but we also want to see if we get around using Supabase to be running on a different platform. So the database that Supabase builds for us, which we have the Postgres set up at we have the Postgres set up at AWS, but what about like all the other stuff? So at least we can start reading into that. We can start understanding better how this stuff works so that we can make progress. So we won't finish today, but maybe next weekend we will be able to get to the next steps, right? So, but we have done amazing work thus far, okay? So here we are. Let me see so let's take a look at here. So containerization guide. So Supabase to AWS, RDS, and Aurora. We have the GitHub actions that we'll set up at some point. It's probably going to be like the last step. Let's take a look at our migration guide to see where we're at. So we have done the containerization. So this part is done. Next up is going to be database migration guide. This comprehensive guide handles the migration of your data and database services, schema analysis and compatibility assessment, data migration strategies and validation procedures, user authentication migration from Supabase Auth to Amazon Cognito, application code adaptation for AWS services, and real-time functionality replacement strategies, all right? And then the next step would be the CI/CD pipeline, step-by-step deployment guide. Cool. All right, so let's take a look at the database migration to see what comes next in here. All right, so database migration guide. So let's see. All right, so introduction and migration strategy overview. Migrating from Supabase to, let me make this bigger. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right, so migrating from Supabase to AWS RDS represents a significant architectural transition that requires careful planning, execution, and validation to ensure data integrity and application continuity. Supabase provides a comprehensive backend as a service platform that includes Postgres database hosting, authentication services, and real-time subscriptions, storage capabilities, and edge functions. Replacing these services with AWS equivalent requires a systematic approach that addresses each component while maintaining the functionality and performance characteristics that applications depend on. And so basically Supabase is doing one thing, and now they're going to be scattered across many different AWS systems, which begs the question, why doesn't AWS have a service that does all of this for you? Because now we're going to have to like spread it out across a bunch of different stuff versus what, like, because Supabase uses AWS for their hosting, right? So it's like I'm migrating off of Supabase, which using AWS for their database, for all that type of stuff, into a scattered infrastructure, right? Which it's kind of annoying. Like, why? Like, what would be the disadvantage of using Supabase, which uses AWS and let's ask. I mean, I know why I would want to do, like, why I want to do this in this scenario, but what would be the? Let's see. Let's go to Gemini. So I'm gonna do a new chat. What would be the advantage of migrating from Supabase to AWS when Supabase already uses AWS as their backend? I'm just curious at this point. Let's see. Says while it's true that Superbase is built on top of AWS, migrating from Superbase to a self-managed AWS environment can offer several significant advantages, particularly as your application grows in scales and complexity. The core difference lies in the level of abstraction and control. Superbase provides a simplified managed experience, while direct AWS usage offers granular control and greater flexibility. Here are the key advantages of migrating from Superbase to AWS. Deeper control and customization. With Superbase, you operate within the framework and limitations of their platform. By migrating to your own AWS environment, you can gain complete control over every aspect of your infrastructure. This allows for fine-tuned database management. You can choose any database instance type. Oh, that makes sense. Custom infrastructure, you have the freedom to design a bespoke architecture using the full suite of AWS services. This could involve using different types of databases like DynamoDB or NoSQL for NoSQL needs, implementing complex network configurations. That makes sense. That does make a lot of sense. Unrestricted environments. You can create as many development staging. That is a good point too, because we have that issue right now. So that's a good point. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And okay, so something that came up in our Vibe Code and Chill session yesterday was I was looking to see how can I take an app and have a testing environment, and there was not really a good answer for that from Lovable. So if you were to treat Lovable as your testing environment and you set up a pipeline to deploy everything to your self-hosted AWS environment, so you make sure everything's working on Superbase, you make sure everything's working on Lovable, and now all right, now let's go in and do our like merge or deployment, and it gets deployed to AWS. So that makes a lot of sense. Cost optimization at scale. Superbase pricing is designed for simplicity and predictability, which is excellent for startups and smaller projects. However, as your application scales, a self-managed AWS infrastructure can become more cost-effective. Pay for what you use with AWS. You pay directly for the resources you consume. This allows for more granular cost management and ability to optimize spending by selecting the most appropriate service and pricing models for each workload. Reserved instances and saving plans, spot instances, access to full AWS ecosystem. Yeah, that makes sense. Avoid vendor lock-in. That makes sense as well. While you're still within the AWS ecosystem, migrating away from Superbase gives you more freedom and reduces dependency on a single platform's tool. That makes sense. That does make a lot of sense. In summary, while Superbase offers an excellent developer experience and it is a fantastic choice for rapidly building and launching applications, migrating to a self-managed AWS environment becomes advantageous when your application demands more control, customization, and if you let's say you're building something for a company and they want to have it hosted in their own AWS, it makes sense, and that's part of the reason that I am interested in figuring out how to do it on AWS as well. All right, so that makes a lot of sense. All right, so with that being said, where am I on this site? Let's go to Manus. Let's see, understanding the Superbase architecture and services. Not going to read all that, but pre-migration assessment and planning. So let's take a read of this. So the first critical step in the migration process involves a comprehensive analysis of the existing Superbase database schema to identify potential compatibility issues and optimization opportunities. This analysis must examine table structures, indexes, constraints, functions, triggers, and any Superbase-specific feature that may require special handling during the migration process. Postgres compatibility between Superbase and AWS RDS is generally excellent since both platforms use Postgres SQL as the underlying database engine. However, Superbase includes several extensions and configurations that may not be available or may require different approaches with AWS RDS. The schema analysis should identify these dependencies and develop strategies for addressing them in the target environment. Custom functions and stored procedures require particular attention during the schema analysis phase. Superbase applications often use Postgres SQL functions for business logic, data validation, and complex queries. These functions must be evaluated for compatibility with the target AWS RDS version and may require modifications to work correctly in the new environment. Functions that depend on Superbase-specific extensions or configurations will need to be rewritten or replaced with alternative implementations. Okay, so what am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to do with that? Let's see. Schema analysis to identify potential migration queries. So where am I supposed to run this? Let's see. Data volume and performance baseline establishment. Understanding the current data volume and all right. So let me. So what is this? This is to, I guess, this is to do the data volume, service mapping, and AWS equivalent identification. So Supabase service, database in Postgres. The equivalent is going to be RDS, Postgres, Aurora, Postgres. Supabase auth is going to be, and the migrate. So it's going to be easy to do the database. The Supabase auth with Amazon Contigo is going to be high, requires application code changes and user migration. Take a look at that. Real-time subscriptions, we should be using AppSync, Kinesis. No direct equivalent, requires architectural changes. That's going to suck. But then we can probably start doing API changes required, but straightforward migration. So we can start like choosing the easy and the medium, the low complexity and the medium ones to start off. And then once we get to requires building custom API layers, so then we can start saying, all right, now auto-generated APIs, custom API gateway. We say, all right, take this. How can we rewrite this to work as a AWS API gateway and a Lambda? Because basically what we need to do, so row level security custom authorization logic must implement in application or API layer. So it's going to be a mess. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But let's start off with the low one. So let's say we start off with the database migration, and the storage, and the edge functions, right? Auto generate APIs. What does that mean? What if we take the API generated from Supabase, and we'll figure that out. But we have four high migration complexities, and we have one low and two mediums. So we'll start off with the low, then we'll go to the mediums, and then we'll figure out the highs. All right, so data migration execution, database migration, and optimization. Let's see, what is this? So the database schema migration process involved exporting the complete schema from Supabase, analyzing it for AWS RDS compatibility, making necessary modifications, and creating the schema in the target AWS RDS instance. This process must handle not only the table structure, but also indexes, constraints, functions, triggers, and any custom data that might be in use. Schema export from Supabase can be accomplished using a standard Postgres tool such as pgdump, which generates SQL scripts that can be executed against the target RDS instance. However, the exported schema may include Supabase-specific elements that need to be removed or modified before execution in the AWS environment. These elements include references to Supabase extensions, custom functions that depend on Supabase services, and configuration settings that are not applicable to AWS RDS. The schema migration process provides an opportunity to implement optimizations that may not have been possible or necessary in the Supabase environment. These optimizations may include partitioning strategies for large tables, index optimization based on query patterns, and constraint modifications that improve performance or data integrity. The migration should also consider AWS RDS specific features such as performance insights, integration, and enhanced monitoring capabilities. You know what would be a great idea and opportunity? Because this is going into like actual database understanding, and if we had somebody who was interested in learning, like getting deep into like DevOps and being able to migrate from AWS or from Supabase to AWS, this would be a great project for them to jump on and start implementing this, right? So basically what we need to do, so what we're going to do is we need to get our Supabase project, the name of the database, the username for the database, the password for the database. Then we are going to get into the information for AWS here, the username, the password for, I guess the username, the username is Postgres on both sides, and then the password for AWS. And we have a backup file. We have the schema, backup directory, and then we're gonna have the schema, modified schema file. And then we're gonna create the backup directory, starting schema migration from Supabase to AWS RDS, exporting the schema from Supabase, which is gonna do a PG dump, Supabase host, user, database, to create the schema file, export the schema file, and then modifying schema for AWS RDS, remove specific extensions for Supabase, remove specific functions for Supabase, remove RLS policies for Supabase, add standard Postgres extensions, create extension if not exists, create extension if not exists. Okay. Then you add that to the modified schema, and then modified schema, all right, saved, and then creating schema in AWS RDS. We're gonna do so the AWS RDS, all right, modify. So you're going to be applying the modified schema file. Schema migration complete successfully. Hopefully it's that easy. Verifying the schema. That's going to be a good one. And then data transfer and validation procedures. So now data migration script. So this is just creating the schema, right? So this is going to be used to create the schema. Then we're going to go over here, data transfer and validation procedures. It will, let's see, the database transfer process should include, all right, so database transfer from Supabase requires careful planning to minimize downtime and ensure data integrity throughout the migration. So there should be no downtime because we're not moving over the DNS and stuff like that. We're just trying to get the data in there. So import, so we're going to be using this again, database migrator, establish connection onto source and target. So source is going to be Supabase, I suppose, and target is going to be AWS. Database connections established successfully. Let's see, get a list of tables to migrate. So select tables from PG tables where schema name equals public. Okay. Oh, we have our work cut off for us next week. So here in this Python script, we're gonna have the host for Supabase, the username, the password over here, and then the same connection for our AWS. Create the migrator. This is really cool stuff, right? All right, so this is going to be our next step, right? This one is going to be a little bit tougher to get to, so we will jump to the S3 stuff after the fact. But cool.
Lunch break.
But they're giving us how to do it though, so is it really going to be tough? I don't know. Using migration script from Supabase. I don't know. But how do we get it to work though? That's going to be the question. How are we going to get it to work? Anyways, whatever. I think we're good. I'm just so excited that we got the app containerized, and now we can actually, like, we should be able to deploy it right now to, let's say, ECS, and have that container running properly. So that's really cool. I'm excited about that. But that is it for today. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that you had a great time, whether you're watching on X, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on Twitch, whether you're watching on Arena. But we did a lot of work today, a lot of really, really good work. And I'm excited for next weekend when we continue to start migrating the database and maybe even the user, because we're going to look into AWS Contigo. So it is what it is. All right. On our way out, as we wrap up the show, do me a favor if you have not done so already. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know every time we go live and drop new content as well. Go to techcoachrav.dev, sign up today, join me for our next Vibe Code and Chill session. I'm going to be putting up the playback to be available this week. And we have our sprint review coming up on Sunday that I will be posting next week. So we are always working every weekend. Something new is happening, always working, putting out new these meetings so you can have better insight on how to work with these tools, work with these platforms, how to get yourself ready for the tech environment, or working on a team, the right mindset, so that you can continue to add value. Lastly, if you are in need of resume assistance, let's say you're not getting any hits for your resume to get interviews, check out resumeflow.app, who is sponsoring this video. Go to resumeflow.app, sign up today, upload your resume, get some analysis on it, put in a job that you're interested in, see how you match up to that job that you're interested in so that you can make the necessary adjustments and have it track your whole application process, all of that good stuff, right? Resumeflow.app, sponsor of today's live stream. Thank you guys so much. But that is it. That is it for today. I am done. I am so excited. I'm going to go party because I am excited of all the work that we got done today. Let me do a quick last check on the arena side of the thing. Make sure that there's nothing new. Nope, we are good to go. Ms. Freckles, thank you so much. Pluperfective, thank you so much for tuning in. The people who were here earlier, I know there was Raji, I believe, and Anlu, I believe. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Truly, truly appreciate you guys. But we're going to wrap it up for today. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your weekend. Remember, we'll be live tomorrow morning and Candid Conversations tomorrow at noon as we continue to run it up. But until next time, Tech Coach Ralph, we are out.
Spartans! What is your profession?
How much did they think I'd take before the walls around me break? They used me up, they bled me dry, but I stayed strong, I reached the sky. How much more did they think I could take? Their whispers were poison, their smiles were fake. Behind the curtain, their plans were obscene, using my heart to fuel their machine.
I gave them my truth, they gave me their lies. Played me like a pawn in their grand disguise. I stayed on my path through the darkest of fires, while they chased the shadows of selfish desire.
But I won't break, I won't bend. This is my story and I'll write the end. They can't control the fire in me. I'll rise above their devious schemes. I saw the cracks in their glittered facade, every move a step in their twisted charade. But I kept my head high, my heart stayed clean, while they sank deeper into their cunning routine.
They whispered lies in the dark of the night, promises wrapped up in glitter and light. But I saw through the cracks in their grand disguise. Their schemes were shadows beneath their sweet lies.
Now I see clearly the roles that we played. They chose deception, I chose to stay brave. The scars on my soul are badges I earned. Their schemes have crumbled, the tables have turned. I won't bow down, I won't retreat. I've got a heart that they can't defeat. Their web of lies, it won't confine this soul of mine. It's built to shine.
But I won't break, I won't bend. This is my story and I'll write the end.
They can't control the fire in me. I'll rise above their devious schemes. How much did they think I'd take before the walls around me break? They used me up, they bled me dry, but I stay strong, I reach the sky. How much did they think I'd take before the walls around me break? They used me up, They bled me dry, but I stay strong. I reach the sky.
People walk in like a fleeting breeze. People go like a summer breeze, whisper through my life, then vanish with ease. I ain't stuck replaying those fading tracks. Eyes on the road, no looking back. I don't care too much about stays or leaves. Life's a wave I ride, no room for grief. What's ahead is gold, what's gone is dust. Never lean too hard, never break that trust.
They say you need roots, but I'm chasing skies. I'll plant my feet when the moment's right. I'm a rolling stone, not a chain to bind. Freedom in my veins is the state of mind.
They come with words like they mean forever, but forever's just a fleeting endeavor. I won't lean on what I can't control. I'm whole on my own, I keep my soul. I don't care too much about who stays or leaves. Life's a wave I ride, no room for grief. What's ahead is gold, what's gone is dust. Never lean too hard, never break that trust.
Dependency's a prison I won't call home. No one knows my journey, I'm on my own. Forward is the anthem, the beat I drum. The past is a shadow, the future's the sun.
I've seen faces fade like mist at dawn. Memories linger, but the moment's gone. I'm not bitter, just wiser with time. Each goodbye's a lesson that sharpens my mind.
Waves will crash and tides will shift. I'm the captain steering through the rift. No anchors here, I sail to the new. The horizon's bright with a better view.
I don't care too much about who stays or leaves. Life's a wave I ride, no room for grief. What's ahead is gold, what's gone is dust. Never lean too hard, never break that trust.
The ones who stay are the real foundation. Others just lessons in life's rotation. I'm not bitter, I just understand. The future's my treasure, it's in my hands.